Lila always loved a good mystery, but today she didn't just find one. One found her. It was a book, ancient and dusty, tucked away in the forgotten corner of her attic. As she brushed the cover, a soft light began to pulse from within, and the air filled with the whispers of words long forgotten. Before she could even gasp, the light swelled, the room around her shimmering and dissolving like a dream. In a blink, she was standing somewhere else entirely, a place that felt both magical and strangely familiar. This was the land of lost words. The air was thick with a soft, swirling mist that curled around her ankles like curious kittens. She found herself at the edge of a forest, but it was unlike any she had ever seen. The trees had bark that looked like stacked pages, and their leaves rustled with the sounds of half-remembered stories. Paths twisted away in impossible directions, looping back on themselves in a dizzying dance. Signs carved into the wood pointed every which way, their letters shifting and rearranging as she tried to read them. One sign said, "This way," only to flicker and change to turn back a moment later. It was a labyrinthine maze, designed to confuse and disorient. Lila took a deep breath, her heart thumping with a mix of fear and excitement. She knew instantly that this was not a place for careless wandering. She would have to be careful, to be vigilant, and to use all her cleverness just to find the way forward. Every choice here felt important, every step a commitment. As she cautiously chose a path that seemed slightly less confusing than the others, a chill crept up her spine. It wasn't the dampness of the mist, but something else. A feeling of being watched. She glanced over her shoulder, seeing nothing but the twisting, gnarled trees. Yet, the feeling persisted. From the deepest shadows, something was following her. It didn't rush or make a sound. It simply lingered, a subtle presence at the edge of her senses. Then, the whispers began again, but these were different from the ones that had called her here. They were insidious, planting tiny seeds of doubt in her mind. "You're lost," they hissed. "You'll never find your way out. You aren't clever enough for this place." The words were like a slow poison, tugging at her courage, trying to unravel her resolve. Lila clutched her fists. She could feel the pernicious nature of this unseen follower. How it aimed not to attack her body, but her spirit. It was subtle, sneaky, and dangerously persuasive. She had to fight it, not with her fists, but with her will. Just as the shadows seemed to close in, a soft glow appeared through the fog ahead. Drawn toward it, Lila emerged from the dense woods to find herself at the edge of a vast, misty chasm. And spanning it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. A bridge shimmered into existence before her very eyes, its structure as delicate and intricate as spun glass. It pulsed with a gentle, internal light, casting a soft radiance against the deepening twilight. Above her, the sky was a canvas of floating lanterns, each one a tiny, captured star. The scene was ethereal, almost unreal, like a painting brought to life. The glowing bridge seemed to beckon her, promising safe passage. As she took her first hesitant step onto its surface, the spot beneath her foot lit up, sending luminous patterns rippling across the chasm below. With each step, another section would glow, lighting her way forward, a path of pure light across the darkness. It felt like walking on a captured moonbeam. But her journey was far from over. On the other side of the chasm, her path was blocked by a massive, imposing door. It was carved from a single piece of dark, polished stone, covered in twisting vines and strange, glowing runes that shifted like sleeping animals. It had no handle, no lock, no obvious way to open it. Layla pushed against it with all her might, but it wouldn't budge. Not even a millimeter. She tried tracing the runes, hoping to find a secret switch. She tried calling out, asking it to open. The door remained silent, immovable and utterly stubborn. It was a solid wall of defiance. Lila leaned against it, catching her breath, a frustrated sigh escaping her lips. She realized then that some obstacles weren't meant to be broken through by force. This door was recalcitrant, waiting for a different kind of key. Perhaps a riddle, a bit of patience, or a spark of cleverness she hadn't yet discovered. Brute strength was useless here. As she stood puzzling over the door, she glanced back across the chasm. The beautiful glowing bridge that had carried her to safety was already fading. It shimmered for a final, breathtaking heartbeat, its light dimming like a dying ember. And then, it was gone. It vanished completely into the mist, leaving no trace it had ever existed. For a moment, a wave of panic washed over her. Her way back was gone. But then, a small smile touched her lips. She understood. Some things, some perfect moments, were not meant to last forever. They were ephemeral, fleeting, and precious, precisely because they couldn't be held onto. The memory of walking on light was now a treasure she would carry with her, all the more valuable because it was temporary. The disappearance of the bridge wasn't a threat. It was a lesson. It meant she had to keep moving forward. Turning her attention back to the silent door, she noticed a new sound carried on the breeze. It was a melody, soft and enchanting, seeming to come from just beyond the stone barrier. Pressing her ear to the cold surface, she could hear it more clearly. It was the sound of a river singing. It wasn't just the gurgle of water. It was a true song, its notes rising and falling in a gentle, harmonious flow. The sound was so pure, so sweet and flowing like honey, that it soothed her frustration and quieted the lingering whispers of doubt. The mellifluous tune seemed to pour through the stone, filling her with a sense of peace and direction. It felt like a guide, a promise of something safe and beautiful on the other side. The song was a clue. Maybe the door didn't need to be pushed. Maybe it needed to be persuaded with a song of her own. Inspired, Lila took a breath to hum the river's tune. But before she could, the sky above her darkened abruptly. A grumpy-looking storm cloud, purple and bruised, loomed directly overhead. A flash of lightning crackled, and a voice like booming thunder erupted from it. "What are you doing, just standing there?" it roared. "Pushing on a door that clearly doesn't push. Wasting time. Did you even try knocking?" The cloud scolded her loudly, its voice sharp and critical, berating her for every small hesitation and perceived misstep. The ferocity of its critique made her cheeks flush with embarrassment. It was like being scolded by the world's angriest teacher. Lila couldn't help but laugh, a nervous, shaky sound. Well, some teachers do vituperate, she thought to herself. Even ones made of vapor and fury. The cloud grumbled a few more insults before drifting off, leaving her with ringing ears and a strange sense of clarity. Maybe it had a point. The encounter with the angry cloud, the fleeting bridge, and the pernicious whispers all taught her the same thing. She had to stay vigilant. In this land of shifting rules and living words, she couldn't afford to be complacent. Every step had to be deliberate, every glance searching, every choice weighed carefully. Danger could be as subtle as a whisper, and beauty as fleeting as a shimmer of light. Magic was woven into the very fabric of this world, waiting for the right moment to either guide her or mislead her entirely. She needed to be alert, to watch for clues in the melody of a river or the pattern of glowing stones. Her senses had to be sharp, and her mind ready for anything. Vigilance wasn't just about avoiding danger. It was about being open to the magic, ready to catch the ephemeral opportunities that would show her the way. With this newfound resolve, she looked at the door again, not as an obstacle, but as a puzzle. She noticed the singing river as melody seemed to resonate with a particular set of runes on the door. She hummed the tune, tracing the corresponding symbols with her finger. As the last note faded, the runes glowed brightly, and with a low, grinding sound, the massive stone door swung inward, revealing a path bathed in soft light. Following it, she soon saw a shimmering, wavering curtain of energy ahead. A portal. It pulsed with the same warm light as the book in her attic. Taking a deep breath, Lila stepped through. In an instant, she was back in her room, the scent of old paper and dust filling her lungs. The magical book lay closed on her desk, looking as ordinary as ever. But she knew. Her heart was full of wonder, and her mind was buzzing with new words and strange memories. She knew that somewhere, beyond the veil of her world, the land of lost words was still there, waiting. And one day, she would return to discover even more of its secrets. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow for Lila's next adventure.